So this is where the Civil War started. And so all of that history is here. All of those kind of things are here. I was like, yo, let's go to this place. Let's go to that place. I didn't know anything about the history, like I didn't know anything about these statues that were around or the different, places like the jail or the market street or any of that stuff. And so it was interesting that I was like, yeah, let's go down. I was the friends that I met, I'd be like, yeah, let's go to this place and let's go to that place. And they'd be looking at me like, you want to go there? I'm like, yeah. I mean, like, I'm in tourist
Let's
mode.
go to Boone Hall Plantation.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go pick some flowers from Boone Hall Plantation. Y'all want to go? Y'all want to go to the haunted house in Boone Hall
Yeah.
Plantation?
Let's go to the
You never come out alive.
yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is Kirsten, your favorite podcast host, and welcome to the Relocate Podcast. Joining us today for a conversation is someone very near and dear to my heart. You're probably going to hear that a lot from me. There's a lot of people out there who are very near and dear to my heart. But this person I've known for a very long time. He's an 11-year resident of the Charleston, South Carolina area who relocated all the way from west coast of the U.S. So glad to have you today, Josiah Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. All right. So before we dive into conversation, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Josiah. I'm originally from California, born and raised. But I've been living here for 11 years here in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a podcaster. I'm a part-time professor at a college. They call us adjuncts. So, but yeah, I wear very many hats. I'm trying to add a few, you know. But yeah, what do I do for fun? Honestly, I just hang out with my friends. We do all kinds of stuff. I really love getting out and discovering new places, new things. That's really what I love about Charleston. I've been here for a long time, but I feel like I still haven't tapped into everything that I could. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm always in for something new, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh man, I haven't been to Charleston. Well, actually, I went to Charleston this year.
Oh yeah, you
I
did
was
a little
definitely,
quick trip.
yeah, it was very quick, very
Yeah,
quick. But as far as the downtown area, I haven't been there in so long. I'm sure that it's changed so much. It's been at least it's been a long time
yeah, it's been
since I've seen downtown.
yeah. Every time I go down there, I'm like, oh man, look at this new spot. Look at this new place. So, it's constantly changing, even for something
Yeah.
like is here. So, it's cool how they've like built it up. I mean, I remember when I first moved here, it was not as built up as it is now. I mean, there's hotels everywhere. There's brand new apartment buildings. So they're really, making it a big city. uh, and it's been voted multiple times as like the best city, and so one of the best cities in the world. So yeah,
Yep. That's my city. Ah,
I you
Chucktown.
know,
I love it.
quick snippet,
Mhm.
quick story. So I remember because again I'm from California, and I know we're going to talk about all that stuff later. But I we used to come out here almost every year, and you actually were the first person to introduce me to Charleston because when we used to come out here, we would come out here and we were in the country. So
Yeah.
very like rural area. That's all I knew about South Carolina was the rural South Carolina. And when I was driving with you and like we were going downtown and like driving through the city and we got to see the water and all that stuff, my mind just was blown. I was like, man, I never like saw this part of South Carolina because we had always seen, just cows and, all of these other things. You know what I'm saying?
And cotton.
Fields. Yeah, big fields, exactly. So I remember that one time we went out there. You were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all the city." I was like, "All right, we'll see about this." What city to this to y'all? But yeah, good time.
Oh my goodness. So Lancaster, right? Lancaster, California.
Yeah,
Okay, they don't have cows and cotton fields out there.
no, not quite. But Lancaster, California is desert. L.A. County. It's a interesting town. What's funny is I've learned a lot more about that town not being there than I have when I was there. A lot of people have been telling me a lot of different things when I mentioned that I'm from there. They're like, "Yo, do you know what really happens there?" I'm like, "What? That wasn't happening when I was there. I don't know, so I won't go into it, but but yeah, we grew up.
Uh-uh. Go into it.
You want
Gotta
to go
just
into it?
reel
Okay.
me in and then say psych.
Well, I mean, a lot of people say that like, there's a lot of like drug activity out there and all
Mm,
this other salacious stuff. I'm like, we never saw any of that. So I don't know where these people were. But anytime I mention stuff like that, they're always like, "Oh, yeah, Lancaster, Palmdale, blah 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 blah." I'm like, bro, we never saw any of that. It's a to me it was a great town because it was a very small town. You would never guess that that was a part of like Los Angeles. But it wasn't too far from LA because we used to drive an hour every single day to get to our shop, which was in LA. And sometimes 2 hours with traffic. Like that's the thing about Los Angeles. So yeah, growing up there though, it was awesome. We had a big backyard. Me and my twin, we used to go out there and just play all day in the yard, and we had tons of dogs and cats and bunnies and all kinds of different animals. And so when I think about my time in California, that's what I really think about. It's just how much we had, how much we were, especially as kids, how much we were able to just have fun and play around. And a lot of times I want to go back to that because being an adult is hard.
tell me
So
about it.
yeah,
Okay. So walk us through your transition from Lancaster, California to the Low Country, to the Charleston area, South Carolina. Whole cross country trip. What was going How did you even get there? Let's start there.
that's a good
How'd
question.
you make Yeah, how'd you get from point A to point B?
So really, to know the history of like all of this, you have to go back to my parents. Both of them, grew up in the dirty South. You know what I'm saying? My dad was from Alabama, and you want to talk about rural? I mean, I joke about like certain parts of South Carolina. Alabama is like really rural. Oh my goodness! And where he's from, you have to like you can't just get there. You can't just exit and go to where he was from. You have to get off the freeway and like go on all types of different highways, all types of different turns to get there. I mean, it's like an hour away from the interstate or whatever. And so he was from rural Alabama. My mom is from, rural South Carolina. And basically, you know, they were getting, they moved out to California. They got married. They had a bunch of kids, right? And basically, my dad, he was getting up in age. And um, he basically sold his business to some people up in New Jersey, and basically we moved out there first. This was kind of like his retirement from the
Oh,
business.
gotcha.
So we moved to New Jersey, so that he could teach the people who he had sold the business to how to basically run the business. So we lived up in New Jersey for a couple of years. And then once we had finished, showing them how to do everything and whatnot, um, my mom and my dad were like, okay, we're ready to retire. And so they were like, where are we going to go pretty much? And for them, it was like, well, let's go back home. Our families are out in the South. So we ended up moving back here, in Charleston. And that's how we've been here, ever since. But, truthfully, it wasn't like we weren't exposed to South Carolina, because we would come out here every single year. I mean, we had the big event, that we would go to. It was like a family reunion type thing, and so we would go out there every single year, and so that's how we got to see a lot of our family. And really, I didn't realize it, but it was really just prepping us for the South. Ending up moving here. Low key. So. But yeah, that's basically how we got there. I know that's kind of a roundabout way I just did there, but
No, that was perfect. You really just paint the picture. Picasso on the podcast.
I I try. It's a lot. It's a lot, but
Yo.
yeah.
What was going through your mind when you realized that you all were going to relocate?
Here,
Yeah.
I was like,
Like,
no, please.
you said no. You didn't want to.
Well, listen. Okay, all right. So let me just go through this real quick. So again, all we knew about South Carolina was, country, and I'm a city boy, so I love the city. I love being around everything. I don't want to drive nowhere to have to get to, you know, certain stores and stuff like that. But again,
Right.
we didn't really know that much about like South Carolina as a whole. And we really didn't know that much about Charleston, even though you had like taken us there. I didn't know much about Charleston. I mean, like it was I had no clue about this city really. And so my idea of coming here was like, again, fields and out, on the dirt roads, and stuff like that. So that was my idea of like coming here. But I will say, once we got here, we got to Charleston, we found Charleston, and I just loved Charleston. So I'm glad we found the city part, and we were here for a long time. But yeah, my first thought was no, because um, just backing up just a little bit, the happiest time of my life was living in New Jersey. Again, I guess I have a theme: small towns. We were living in this small town called Metuchen, New Jersey, and it was just beautiful. Okay. I always, even though I lived in California, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I always really kind of took it for granted, Los Angeles, because I really love the idea of living in New York and like going to New York. And so again, like I just romanticized it. And so like to be able to like be there was like a dream come true. And so living there for, 2.5 or 2 years, was some of the happiest moments of my life. And so living in that small town, there was this cool place called Main Street, and there was tons of different places to go, like restaurants and bookstores. We would go there and watch people do poetry and comedy night,
Oh.
all kinds of different things. And they had like this little small movie theater. And anybody that knows me knows that I love like the smaller community movie theaters, because I really think that's where, like, again, I'm a filmmaker. I really think that movies should be watched in those kind of places. And so like going there and watching, all of the old movies that they would play and stuff like that. It was just, I mean, it was a good time. Being able to see more than just one season, When you're living out in
Aw.
California, you got you the weather is nice, but you don't really get to see snow, and we got to see snow and we got to see, hurricanes and all kinds of stuff. So it was interesting moving there. Yeah, we actually, what's funny? We were there when Hurricane Sandy was going down. So that big,
Aw.
yeah, we made it through that. Our I think our like um electricity was out for like a week or two. So it was kind of crazy. So, but yeah, I mean, New Jersey was a great town to be in. So I wanted to like stay there. I was like, listen, I can get on a train and be in New York in 30 minutes, Where else do you want to go? So, yeah, for me it was like, oh, I don't know where we're going next, So anyways, sorry. I know that was kind of long.
Nah, you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure the sound of you pouring beer in your glass stays in the audio. My man said, I'm ready to get loose and tell y'all this story.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that's right. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. I'm learning a lot about you today. All right. Um, so you got to South Carolina and you said it wasn't until after you relocated that you saw the city part, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Like I remember you drove us downtown, and I think we went to one of the lakes, and I think you were trying to show us like um
The
the
battery, maybe?
yeah, the battery and stuff.
Um,
So yeah,
Stays taking people to the battery.
yeah. So we got a little taste of it, but we didn't really. I didn't really think about what was here, and so moving to Charleston, it was a learning curve. Like there was a lot that I didn't really know, and I felt like I was kind of naive because growing up in Los Angeles, which is just, I feel like we're so open, we're so liberal, and I don't mean that in like a political way. I'm just talking about like I feel like people are so like free, and open minded. Coming here was a little bit different because I think a lot of people have like their way of life and they like it that way, and so like when somebody comes in that's new, it's a little bit like, oh, you know. And so I think that was the interesting thing for me was like, again, I was naive about a lot of things, like the history of what happened here. I think it's always very palpable in the air. I think everybody, whether you're black or white, kind of feels it because this is where the Civil War started. I don't know if you want to talk about all this, but
Now we can give the
okay.
folks a history lesson.
Yeah, so this is where the Civil War started, like, um, and so all of that history is here. All of those kind of things are here. And I just when I got here, I was just like, "Yo, let's party! Like, let's go downtown." I wasn't old enough to like actually party or whatever, but I was like, "Yo, let's go to this place. Let's go to that place." I didn't know anything about the history, like I didn't know anything about these statues that were around or the different places like the jail or the Market Street or any of that stuff. And so it was interesting that I was like, yeah, let's go down. I was the friends that I met, I'd be like, yeah, let's go to this place and let's go to that place. And they'd be looking at me like, you want to go there? I'm like, yeah. I mean, like, I'm in tourist
Let's
mode.
go to Boone Hall Plantation.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go pick some flowers from Boone Hall Plantation. Y'all want to go? Y'all want to go to the haunted house in Boone Hall
Yeah.
Plantation?
Let's go to the jail.
You never come out alive.
Yeah. Let's go all these different places. So, again, I was very naive to the history here. And understanding it now, I'm like, okay, I get it. So being here for 11 years, you finally really understand how people feel, and so I always want to honor that now. Now that I know. So, but yeah, I mean, I remember my eldest sister. Her and her husband actually came out here one time, and we were taking them around. We went to go see Fort Sumter and all these different places. And I remember taking my sister to the market, and we were just driving through, and we were having a good time. We were going to all these different places in Charleston, but I told her what had happened on Market Street, and I just remember her just bursting out in tears, just because it it was so real at that moment. It was like, wow, that's what really, like, wow. And it hits you, the history. Because, living out in California, again, we're so like, oh, yeah, whatever. So, and yeah, you were talking about the plantations and stuff like that. I was just surprised that, like, people are having weddings and stuff like that. Not to, like, shame anybody or anything, but I mean, just like,
Man, don't get me started. Ugh.
yeah, I mean, my friend the other day, we were on a podcast, and she was talking about, like, yeah, it's basically like Disneyland for plantations, really. Because, people are there, they're like, oh, yeah, well, oh, look at that. Oh, my gosh, the history, and they were like paying money and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just interesting. It's a different town, it's a different type of feel. And again, all of that is here. It's in the air, it's palpable. Like, people can feel it. People can feel it. I feel like there's a little tension, that they can feel. So, whether you're black or white. And so, it's just an interesting place, but it's also a beautiful city. You know, Again, the beach is here. There's so many different things to do. And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a second.
You know what? While we're on this topic of the rich history in Charleston, South Carolina,
Yeah.
um, a lot of people here in Texas, their number one question when they find out I'm from South Carolina, like once they really get it through their head that I'm not from North Carolina, I'm from South Carolina, they'll ask me, is South Carolina racist? Or have I ever had a racist encounter in South Carolina? Which I have, but not in Charleston.
Yeah.
Let's start there. It was in very rural area, but it definitely wasn't the Charleston area where I had that experience. Have you experienced something like that since you've been in South Carolina?
I have. I have.
Ugh.
And honestly, I think I probably felt I would have had a lot more of those types of interactions. I haven't really had as many as you would think. Um, and especially not really in Charleston, because Charleston is becoming very liberal. Now I'm talking in the political sense. So I think with it being more liberal, more, because all types of people come here. I mean, there's people from France, there's people from, just being a tourist, people from all over
Yeah.
the country that come here to see this city because it's been voted best city multiple times. People want to come here. There's all kinds of bachelorette parties or bachelor parties and stuff like that. So people are here all the time. So I think it's more open. But like you said, there's rural parts um that are a little more like, oh, thank you for reminding me where I'm at, because
Yeah.
I might have forgot for just a quick second, but you just reminded me. Thank you for that. I remember this one time. I was in Home Depot, and this, again, not in Charleston, and I was actually working on a show, and I was buying something. Actually, you know what? I didn't even have anything in my hand. I didn't have anything in my hand. I was walking around, and I was actually on the phone with somebody, and they were telling me what to get. And my phone was like acting weird. So I was about to step outside, and this woman goes, Don't you go out there. What do you have in your hand? And I'm on the phone talking to somebody. And I looked back. I was like, is she talking to me? And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't have anything in my hand. I have my phone. And she went, oh. And I was like, what? What in the world? Because I was
Looney
walking
Tune.
with my phone, she thought I was stealing something. And it wasn't like I was like running outside or like doing it. I was just literally just like walking all nonchalantly. And I was like, thank you for reminding me where I'm at. But I will say, again, you have those kind of interactions, but they are few and far in between compared to everybody else here. The people here have been more than nice until they hear that I'm from California. No, I'm just kidding. But
Don't come to Texas, bro. Don't don't come to Texas and tell them you're from California. Please don't. It's a whole other ballpark here. I can promise you that.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I try not to tell people that I lived in New Jersey for a little bit because they might call me a Yankee or something. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
No.
That's hilarious. Okay. Um, have you noticed, or are there any differences between uh California and South Carolina that keep you up at night?
I think the biggest thing is the weather. I mean,
Okay.
people think that at certain times it does get kind of hot in California, but it is nothing compared to the humidity in South Carolina and how hot it gets here. So, like it gets hot, hot. Like you step outside and you're like, all I did was walk to my car. Why am I like drenched in sweat right now? Like, and so, yeah, it could be really, really hot here. Also, it rains a lot here. I think one of the reasons why Californians think that they're superior to everybody is that we have such great weather out there. It's always sunny. It feels like it's always a little chilly at night. Here, like it goes down maybe 2 degrees, and that's all you get, at night. So I think the biggest thing is just the weather and the people. The people are a lot nicer here. You could just be talking to somebody for 2 seconds, and next thing you know, they're telling you their whole life story. And so I think I think it's very different from how California is. So it's interesting. Everybody says hi to you. You know, and so that's something I had to get used to. So but you know, I think I'm used to it now. So
Paint the picture for me a little more because
yeah.
we know how you got from West Coast to East Coast, but paint the picture as in how old were you
Okay.
when you made that transition and what year was it?
Ooh, I may not remember what year, but I was actually very young, and so I always tell people I was too old to tell my parents, too young to tell my parents no when they decided to move to the East Coast, because I would have loved to stay. At least I know for sure I would have loved to stay in New Jersey and definitely in California. But now that I'm here, like I love it here. Don't get me wrong. But I was very young. I think I moved from California when I was 15, and I spent my 16th and 17th birthday in New Jersey. And then I kind of moved here right when I was about to turn 18, so like in the fall. And so, growing up in California was great. Again, California has all the great things, right? People tell you about the weather, people tell you about the beach. And, I think a lot of people romanticize Los Angeles so much. because, it's all about the stars and the glam and all of these different things, Hollywood and, Beverly Hills, like all these different places that people
Yeah.
think that they like love or they would love if they go out there. And what's funny is always to see people when they actually go out to LA and they really experience it. They're always like, "Oh wow, like it's got like a homeless problem, or it's kind of dirty, or like all these different things." But it's like it's just, it's like a regular city. Like it has its good parts and it has its bad parts. And so I think again, I think I learned a lot more about Los Angeles leaving it. And it's made me appreciate it more now, and actually make me think about moving back there one day. But I am enjoying it out here. Live Moving here when I was around 17, it was interesting because I kind of grew up here in Charleston. So, I became an adult out here, had my 21st birthday out here, like, so there's a lot that ties me to Charleston. And so what's funny to me is whenever I leave Charleston for a little bit and I go to another city, I'm always like, man, I'd rather be in Charleston right now. And so, like,
Oh,
I feel like I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this city because it does have a lot of parts that I love about it, and it has some things that I don't like as much. But going from, again, um, being able to find, I'll put it like this, being able to find another city inside of this state that I feel at home in is something that not a lot of people can say, and so I appreciate Charleston for that. So yeah.
I'm sure Charleston appreciates you too. I mean, you've been there for so long. Yeah, it's a lot of appreciation within that. I'm glad you mentioned that part too about going on vacation and having that moment of, I think I'd like to go home now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? How long did it take for you to actually call Charleston home and mean it?
Probably now. Probably
Oh.
it took that long. No, I've kind of, in a way, like when you crystallize it and you're like, oh, I had all of these milestones, and I'm probably gonna have another milestone coming up here. And so all of the milestones have been here, as opposed to in California. I'm getting up close to being here as long as I've been in California. I think I left there when I was 15, so I'm only a few years away. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting when you think about it from that perspective. So I think again I've always had a love hate relationship for this place, but I think I'm starting to like it and appreciate it a lot more. And I think that's just me growing up here. Really, all my adult years are here, and so I think this place will always have a place in my heart. And so when I think about it from that perspective, it crystallizes it for me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And I think it helps too that you weren't the only person who relocated. It was you and you said your family.
Mhm.
How many of y'all? How many people moved with you?
At the beginning, there was only four of us, and yeah, now there's only three of us, but yeah, because some people moved away. But at one point, there was like five of us here, and so yeah, yeah, I think moving here with a support system is interesting because a lot of people, and more power to those people, I tell you, move out without anything and without any type of support, without any kind of connections or family. And to do that is very brave. And so I commend those people. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think having that definitely helped me, especially at my earlier years of my life. Like, especially like 18, 19, going to college and doing all these different things, being able to have people around if anything happened or whatnot, was always good. So, um, yeah, I did have that support system. Also, you know, having my extended family here was good. Having my grandmother and my aunts here. So all of that was great. So having those guys, being able to, go to a cookout, every other weekend or so, was always good. Eating some good food, stuff like that. So that was always good.
Yeah. Gotta love the food.
Yeah. Like, can I say this?
Okay.
You being out in Texas, you know, I feel like, you don't really have that much family out there, right? So you're kind
Mm,
of, you know, so I mean, that's to me, that's commendable to be out there. I mean, I don't know if I would do that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how
yeah.
you feel about that.
I would say when I moved, I wasn't the only one. I came with my cousin.
Hmm.
Yeah, to Houston. But the move to Austin. Austin is the first place because I've lived in Atlanta as well. I was in Atlanta for a year, but I knew a lot of people in Atlanta, so I had
You
what I
moved to
felt like was a support system. Hmm?
you moved to Atlanta for a year? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was in Clemson. Um,
Oh, okay,
yeah, I
yeah,
spent the year in Atlanta.
I got
Yeah. Um, so I was in Atlanta for a year, but I knew way too many people, and then Clemson was just right there, like an hour and a half away.
you. Yeah.
Um, and then Charleston was like only like 4 or 5 hours away. I moved to Houston with my cousin, so somewhat of support system. And then you have I have friends out there too in Houston, so and I didn't really quite totally feel alone. But my move to Austin was the first move where it was just me
Mm.
and didn't know anyone. And I actually had a much better transition
Hmm.
with Austin as far as like settling and meeting people and not feeling like I was out here doing this by myself. Yeah, I was able to find my footing pretty quickly and meet some very nice people and uh yeah, like it's been great. But I don't know why like the move to everywhere else was just so rough. It's like get me out of here.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. I had that moment. I did. So I mean, real kudos. And then Houston's only what 2 hours away, and
Yeah.
by the time I moved to Austin, I already had friends in Houston too. So
Oh,
they're like family. I go celebrate holidays with them like I do with family. So yeah,
that's great.
I don't know. Kudos to anyone who is just moving cold turkey with no family.
Yeah. I mean,
That's rough, but you
that
can do it.
I'm sure that's rough to just pack up and just, go on and try to figure it out as you go, I'm sure, because you don't know what you don't know. So it's always interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
I need to come out there and visit you. I've always wanted to experience Austin. I've heard a lot of good things about that place, and so Texas. I've only really driven through there, I haven't really experienced it much. But we've kind of driven through every part of it. Like we've been to Dallas, we've been to Houston, we've been to San Antonio, El Paso. Like
Dang, you literally drove through probably Austin to get to San Antonio, depending on where you were traveling from.
we probably did. We probably did. I remember seeing
Yeah.
the road signs that would say Austin, Texas. So,
Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
I think you would like it here, especially with your profession. And people are really into the arts here. I know University of Texas, like their arts program alone, they invest millions of dollars in that. They take pride in the arts here, even though there is some criticism with big tech moving here, and seems
Okay.
like a lot of the city, as far as the financial investments, are going into that. So people are really trying to keep Austin in that artistic spirit. But I met a lot of people
Hmm.
with similar background to yours, so I feel like you would enjoy it. And you know what? While we're talking about this, I'm thinking you went from California, where Hollywood, Hollywood,
Yeah.
Universal Studios, isn't that in California? Or is that Florida?
No, we have a Universal Studios. We also have Disneyland. You know, I know Florida thinks they're more uppity because they got the world or whatever, but we got Disneyland, the original. All right, so take that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we do.
Or like all the film places.
Yeah. All of that. So yeah, I mean,
You,
so I it's funny when I tell people my story, moving from Hollywood to New York, which is also another like capital,
oh,
like filming, to South Carolina. I mean, that's really why the whole thing of like I was too young to say no really
mm.
makes sense, you know? Because if it was up to me, I probably would have never moved from both of those places. But I never, to be honest, I never really thought that this was a real career path, being in the film arts, you know, and I never really thought that you could make money doing it. So it was like a learning curve for me. Um, just kind of like a, I don't know, what would you call that? Just a leap of faith to kind of go after this thing. But I did know that I wanted to do something in it, and I was going to try everything I could to keep pushing. And it's still a struggle. I mean, right now our industry isn't doing that well. But it was, yeah, being in the arts is always tricky. But yeah, you can make money. You can make a living doing it.
So how are you pursuing your dream and your the career that you've always wanted, or the field that you always wanted to be in? How are you pursuing that in Charleston?
Yeah. To be honest, lately I think I've been getting a little too distracted. Because when you grow up and you're young, I think there's more room for you to be more artistic and to figure things out.
Hmm.
And as I've gotten older, it's become more about, instead of being more of an artist, it's about, okay, I need to make a living. I need to be able to pay for rent, pay for all of these different bills and stuff like that. And so I've kind of lost, and this is just me being truthful. I don't know if I even really talked to too many people about this, but I think I've kind of lost my artistic edge. And I really, to be honest with you, I really admire my younger self more than I do. Like, I mean, because again, now I'm just adulting. You know what I mean? Um, but when I was younger, I was doing way more in my field. I was really going after my dream more, and I'm just trying to get back to that. You know, I've gone through this period of time where it's been about, okay, how do I make money and how do I keep myself sustained? And I'm trying to get back to the time when I was more artistic, because I used to go out and make short films. I used to get all types of people together and just go out. We would we would go all over Charleston and film whatever. I mean, I'm talking no permits, no nothing, just hey, let's go make a movie, And it was always interesting. Again, that's why when you're younger, I feel like when I was younger, I had way more energy to go after those kind of things, and I kind of missed that. I missed that, and so now I've gone through a long period of time of okay, I have this film that I've been editing for since before COVID, and I really just need to sit down and just finish that movie. And I've thought about filming something again. Don't get me wrong, I've shot, music videos for local artists. I've done all these different things, but it's not really what I want to do. I want to make movies. And so I need to get back to that. I need to find that energy, and really throw myself into it, because I just remember a time when I had so much time on my hands that it was like, oh, this is the only thing you're doing is you're going to go and make 10 short films. You're going to hang out with whoever. You're going to make new friends, be, artistic with people, collaborate with people. And now it's like, oh man, I can't find the time because I have this job and I'm working on this shoot. And, so, um, but I still have that burning desire to get after it. I just need to get after it. And it can be so hard, especially as an artist, because it's like, where do you start? How do you know your idea will become something that people will resonate with? And how do you, make it, how do you crystallize it and make it more accessible for people? So things like that is kind of what I think about on the daily now. And I think, I've gone through a period of time where I've had career failures, and I feel like I've been beaten down a lot by some of the different things that can happen to you in your career. And but I'm still standing. And if you're still standing, I feel like you have to keep going. And so nothing's really taken me out, even though there was a thing about a year and a half ago that could have taken me out, but I didn't let it. And I'm not going to. And so, yeah, sorry.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, that's part of the reason why I even love South Carolina. I was at a point where I felt stagnant. And I worked a career coming out of college, and that just gave me so much anxiety. It was crazy. I had a panic attack.
Mm,
Yeah. That was the first time that ever happened to me. I mean, school was stressful, but nowhere near that stressful.
yeah,
And yeah, I kind of went through like years of trying to like regain balance in my career, and just got to a point where I was like, something has to give.
yes.
And so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and start figuring out my next steps. Where do I have to go to feel like I'm fulfilling my passion, fulfilling something that I really truly love? Because if it was up to me, I'll be working for a football team. At least that's what I was thinking back then. Like, I really love sports. I worked like basketball games at Clemson. I loved it. And I wanted to keep going. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I went to Atlanta. I thought maybe I could do something there. Was not a fan. Nah, I was like, send me home now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Again,
yeah,
some what I admire about you, because I feel like I talk to a lot of different people, and it feels like a lot of them. And by the way, this is a statistic that somebody came up with, but I think only like maybe 38% of people actually move from a different zip code. Like when you think about that, that's crazy. So whatever zip code they grew up in,
Wow.
only like 38% of people actually move away from that zip code. And so like I should cite it if I'm gonna mention it, but people can look that up, which is crazy because most people don't move away from home. People just kind of stay where they're at, and so
Yeah.
I think that's interesting that like you actually, I feel like especially here in South Carolina, a lot of people never really move. They might think about it, you know, they might talk about it, but they never actually leave this place. And so, yeah, I admire that about you. So,
Oh. So I'm trying not to encourage you to move. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. I feel like what you gonna say something?
nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, in a way, like even though you don't feel like you're completely there with like where you want to be, um, you're doing the podcast. So, I know in a sense like the editing aspect of it is kind of like what you like to do.
Yeah,
But I'm sure you will want to do something like that, but on a way greater scale too.
yeah.
Um, I mean, honestly, let me just ask you, what do you think it will take for you to get to that point, to where you want to be, like where you truly want to be?
I think it takes. I think it'll. I think I know what it'll take. It's just about doing it right. Um, I think mentally, I'm ready to move. You know, to move to a different spot. And I think about it all the time, like leaving here. Um, but yeah, I do need to get to a bigger market. But also I just need to do the work. And again, when you have like a full time job and you're constantly going, and there's so many things that come up. There's always something to do, and it distracts you from your real purpose. And so I think I've been a lot distracted a lot, and so I just need to get back to doing what I need to do, and that may involve moving to a bigger market. And it's definitely something that I think about a lot. So I've thought about it'll probably be Atlanta, or the real place I want to go back to is New York. And um, even though one day I may move to California again, but I feel like if I move back to California, I'm never really, other than to visit, I probably wouldn't come back out to the East Coast. So I'm kind of afraid to move back to California because I feel like I'm always trying to discover new places and break new ground, so to speak. Um, but I may ultimately go back home. So as far as my career goes, it's just about getting in and just doing the work and being able to find that time and to really push myself. You know, it's amazing what people are able to do in a shorter period of time if they just focus. And I feel like I've been so unfocused. I feel like I've been so distracted. You had mentioned the podcast and stuff, and in a way, you know, like I am making like a movie every single week, really. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, um, and so that's interesting. And you know, putting up a lot of different clips and stuff like that. In a way, I am doing something, but it's not ultimately what I feel like I was born to do, you know? And so, and who knows? I mean, there's so much uncertainty in the film industry right now. People are moving from California. Some people are going to like Albuquerque. Some people are moving to, a lot of people are moving to Atlanta. And so there's so much going on with our industry. A lot of people are uncertain with AI and all of these big things. So it's an interesting time for the industry, but I really love independent cinema, and that's you know that's where I'm at. So yeah,
Albuquerque?
yeah. I think in New Mexico.
No shade. No shade at Albuquerque, but
Yeah,
what?
that's what I've been hearing. New Mexico is kind of a hub for film. I haven't
Huh.
really looked into it. I don't know much about it. Um, I've probably driven through there a few times. But yeah, apparently that's a thing. So you
They
know,
filmed High School Musical there, I think. My bad for cut you
in
off.
Albuquerque, yeah, I think okay. So I may be getting this wrong, and so people can correct me. All right, but I think they filmed Breaking Bad there as well.
I've
So
never heard of it. What is that? A movie?
Breaking Bad
Yeah. It's a movie or a TV show.
TV show. That's like
Okay.
one of the biggest TV shows. So it's
Hmm.
about this guy who's like a drug lord, or he becomes a drug lord. So it's an interesting show. It's a regular guy. He gets one of his students to help him start um, making drugs like from scratch. And yeah,
They be whipping it in the kitchen in Albuquerque. Oh my gosh.
yeah, in a motorhome.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Not in the water.
yeah, that's actually one of the biggest shows. People love that show. Um, I like that show. I wouldn't say I love it. I like it a lot. I wish I was watching it when it was on. There's something about watching a show when it's weekly and it's on, as
Yeah.
opposed to trying to go and watch it after several years. And so that was my experience with it. So that's why I haven't gotten into Game of Thrones yet.
Oh, you're too into Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
Breaking Bad? That's the name of it?
yeah,
Okay.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, Breaking Bad. So
Yeah, you can tell I don't watch a lot of TV. I
what do
don't
you
really
watch?
watch a lot of TV.
What's like?
Football.
Okay,
Oh, you know what? Okay. So when I'm not watching sports, because it's definitely like as of the time of this recording, it's definitely not football season.
right.
But I like reality TV. I like
Okay,
um what's that show called? I like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. I
okay.
like Love Island, but I watched the UK version. I'll try to get into the US version, but for some
USA,
reason I can't.
USA.
Mm,
I haven't watched that show,
yeah,
by the way,
no.
so I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that. And then there's this show on Hulu. It's called Claim to Fame,
Okay.
and they have like relatives of celebrities come out and they all live in a house and you have to guess, or the people in the house have to guess who that person or the people in the house are related to. So it's I like that show. It's just I don't know. Half the time, or really 90% of the time, because I don't watch I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of TV, and I definitely really don't keep up with music. Even though I listen to music, like I know I know the artist. I can't tell you what the artist look like.
Who won,
Um,
Kendrick or Drake?
mhm.
Who won, Kendrick or Drake?
Why you? Kendrick won.
Kendrick won.
Kendrick won. Kendrick won without a question. Oh my gosh, I see why he played that song back to back to back to back to back, because the one time I listened to it, that was the first time ever that I can recall listening to a song from start to finish and then wanting to play it over again and then over again and then over again, because the lyrics, the lyrics in that song, oh my gosh, just going from the beginning to the end. I'm like, this is a masterpiece of a song.
Yeah.
And you just keep catching little things that he's saying, and I'm just like, oh, A minor, A minor. Oh,
In,
A minor. Like,
yeah, in the tune of A minor and also A minor.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Um,
anyways, I'm a Drake stan, so I'm a little salty, of course. I've always liked Kendrick, and I personally don't even think "Not Like Us" was the best song that he came out with. I
oh
much
yeah.
I much rather listen to 616 or even Meet the Grams, even though a part of it is not true. But I get it. I think it's cool that he has a resurgence now, and he's able to be in the limelight a little bit, because I think his music is important and people should listen to it.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so he's always made the conscious music, and so yeah. Whereas Drake is more, even though I think Drake's music is important, I think he makes more pop stuff, or at least that's what we hear on the radio, a lot of the pop stuff. But
Yeah.
he does have rap records as well. People just don't really listen to those as much. So yeah,
I don't know. I like both. I
yeah,
like both. I like Drake. I like Kendrick.
mhm,
Um, I think because I'm more of like the on the pop side of things, I listen to a lot more Drake,
yeah.
but Not Like Us, that's automatic top 5 song. Like if I
Really?
had to rank like a list of songs that I really like, that's definitely top 5. I mean, he did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Just top to bottom, just chef's kiss for real. Oh my goodness.
My-
I love that song. I love that song. Oh my goodness. Yes. So that song alone, what did Drake even do? I don't know, but he made Kendrick mad. That's all.
yeah,
That's all I can say. That man snapped, and he snapped in the way I was just like, oh,
yeah.
this is a different version of Kendrick, at
Well,
least
yeah,
from what I'm familiar with.
it's been built up for so many years. I mean, they've been sneak dissing for 10 years, and so
Yeah.
like, okay,
And
now I'm really gonna pop out. So,
it was like it's like watching two people play Tekken, but you see the bar on one person's side is like fully green or near green, and then you see the other side it's like all the way red. KO. That's
yeah,
how that looked to me. Like, I'm sorry, Drake. If Drake ever listened to this, which I'm not gonna say I doubt it, but if it if this ever gets around to him, bro,
Team
what did you
OVO right
do?
here.
What
I,
did you do?
anyways,
Yeah. Okay. Um, backtrack. This was a lovely discussion. I
Mm,
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
same.
And I wish you nothing but the best because I was in your shoes definitely at one time where I felt like there was just so much more that I could do, but I was distracted. And I just got to the point where I put myself first.
Mm,
I 100% put myself first.
hmm.
And it was very sad for me. Like I didn't, I love Charleston and I love everything about Charleston. Just, I can get off from work and just go straight to the beach.
Yeah.
And can't do that in Austin. I can go to the lake, maybe, but I don't know. I don't really trust lake water like that. Um, yeah, like I was in your shoes, just I like it. I like my comfort level, my comfort zone, and just being around family and having that support system. And even though the money wasn't great and I wasn't really living to my potential.
Mhm.
I still wanted to be there. But then I had to think about it more, like, why do I want to still be here when I'm unhappy with where my career is going and I'm not really feeling fulfilled? And like my that reason that sense of doubt was like I was distracted, but I was more so distracted by people, like
Mm.
other people and other people's needs and what they wanted help with or needed help with, and you know, even down to friends, and like everything was there, like
Yeah.
everything I needed or everything I wanted was there except for the things that I wanted for myself that was going to make me better. So I had to dip.
Yeah. Again, you weren't really
With
putting
the biggest deuce.
yourself first by doing that.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think that's the key. So, yeah, that's
I
good.
mean, if you feel like um there's more that you can, but you can't really do it where you are.
Yeah. Get out of there.
He's
Yeah.
he's so for real.
Roll out.
Um,
Yeah, I feel that.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
no, yeah, that's good. And I think I'm getting to that point. I think I'm getting to that point where it's just I really do need to put myself first and, you know, um accept that this may not be the place that I thought it once was or that I thought it could be for me. So, and yeah, it's been a it's been good just talking about this cuz I haven't really opened up about a lot of this as much. So, yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, do what's best for you. Um,
Yeah.
and you're in a place where you, I think, like you have like a unique opportunity to prepare and not feel overwhelmed per se about the preparation process. Um, and more so like have like a plan of action.
Yeah.
I feel versus like if you were to do this like when you were younger per se,
Mhm.
like you're at a unique opportunity where you have experience and you have like this portfolio, and like even right now with what you're doing with your podcast, that in itself is like a digital portfolio of your work.
Yeah.
I think you're at a good position to pivot if
Yeah.
you wanted to.
Thanks
Yeah.
for saying that, cuz I feel like I'm getting up there in age. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Can I make a pivot? But
Hmm.
at the same time, what you can do in a couple of years is limitless. So I think it'll be interesting if I lock in and really. It's hard to make a decision because you have to really uproot a lot of things, and it can be scary and it can be hard, and so I think that's where I'm at. But I just need to get after it. So,
Yeah. Maybe if you were thinking about, I think you said Atlanta and New York,
mhm.
Atlanta or New York. When's the last time you've been to Atlanta
I
and New York?
I went to Atlanta last year um,
Okay.
for a movie premiere, and then New York. I haven't been there since COVID, since before COVID. So probably
Dang.
maybe 2018, something like that. So it's
Oh
been a
yeah,
it's
it's
more
been a while.
yeah, it's more than time. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and I love New York. So yeah, I need to get
Yeah,
back
go
out
get
see what's happening.
Yeah, go get your feet wet. Go network.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turn it into a vacation and a work,
That's what I.
not work trip per se. Like,
Yeah. What I love about New York is last time I was uh, there was like several different people just like filming, and I would just walk up to the people and just start talking to them.
oh, I
So
love
it's like
that.
it's cool because so much is going on, or it was at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but it was cool seeing different people out there and actually knowing the gear that they were actually using and stuff like that was interesting. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I love this. I love this. And I
yeah,
hope that this show reaches a wide range of people. And I'm just going to throw um, the algorithm and assist. New York, New York, New York.
hit me up.
Atlanta, Atlanta, Atlanta.
Yeah,
Hi, Atlanta.
yeah.
Now, for real, if you're listening to this, if you have any connections,
Phil,
connections,
hook a brother up.
right? Help him. Really
Yeah,
help him.
yeah.
Oh, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
And I think this was such a good question the first time around that I'm probably just going to keep it in rotation. So in closing, what words of advice would you tell the version of yourself that left California?
I would probably just tell myself to just get after it. Don't be held down by anything. Um, and don't trust people as much as you do. I think I was too trusting of a lot of people. And don't worry about people liking you or not. Who cares? Like none of that stuff matters. You know, you got to live your life. You got to do what's authentic to you. And so, a lot of people aren't going to get down with that. So what? F them. Live your life. Do what you're here to do. Live your purpose. But keep being you. Don't stop that young energy, and keep pushing. And realize that things are only here for a moment, and you have to really seize on the momentum when you got it. Because momentum is something that not a lot of people talk about. And when you lose that momentum, you know, it's so hard to get it back. And so seize the momentum, carpe diem, So I think that's key.
That is key. And you're never too old to get the momentum back.
Yeah.
Throw that in there. Never too old.
That's good. That's good.
So good to have you, Josiah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having
your time.
me. A great time. So yeah, appreciate you.
All right.